Okay, guys. So now we will move on to the next chapter, which is our material chapter. Okay. Um, Coming to this particular chapter, again, we are going to encounter a lot of concepts, small concepts. We are going to be solving a lot of problems in this, lot of adjustment problems, lot of regular big problems, because there are too many concepts to tackle. Okay, so when we look at material, this chapter has a lot of significance and importance because this raw material which is used in the manufacturing process, we need to exercise a good system of control when it comes to raw material. Why? Because of many reasons. Okay, what could those reasons be? Okay, first, when you see your final product, most of the final product, the cost which is associated with your final product, most of it is raw material cost. Correct? So this raw material will, the kind of raw material that you're using will determine what the quality of your product will be. Correct? So quality of the final product will totally depend on your raw material. Correct? Next, exercising a good system of control is very important in order to reduce wastage. Okay, now if we know that certain units of raw material are required to manufacture the finished product, but if you are not using that many number of units, you're using more, that means you're wasting somewhere. Correct? And if you're wasting, it's only going to increase our costs. So this system is very important to be put in place so that we can reduce our raw material wastage. Next, prices. So raw material prices should be minimum. So you should do your research properly. Figure out who the suppliers are in the market, what their reputation is, what their quality is, how they are selling their material. Okay, what are the prices which have been put in place by the suppliers to sell in the market. So you obviously have to ensure that you are buying good quality material, right? But at the same time, the prices should be minimal. You should not compromise on the quality also, but at the same time ensure that your raw material prices are less. So for that you need to do some analysis. For that you need to have a system in place. Correct? Next, raw material system should be such that your production flow is not disrupted. So at any point in time, you have a production schedule in place. So your raw material should be available readily. There should never be a situation that, oh, I have to produce now and I don't have raw material. That will hamper your operations completely. So again, all of that will happen only if you have a system in place. So if you see, everything is narrowing down on the fact that we need to have a good system in place to control our raw material. Correct? And the last one, your stock holding. You should not have too much raw material also which you are holding in stock. Why? What will happen if I'm holding too much raw material? Then there could be chances of spoilage, deterioration, obsolescence. Apart from that, you are also blocking money in raw material unnecessarily. That money could have been used somewhere else. So when you're not going to use that raw material, what is the point of blocking that money in raw material? So again, you should have a good system in place so that this doesn't happen. Okay, if you are blocking your money in raw material, then remember that's an opportunity cost, because that money could have been invested somewhere else on which you could have got interest, which you're losing out now. That's an opportunity cost. Correct? So all these things can be taken care of if you have a good system of managing your raw materials. Okay, and that is what we are predominantly going to be studying in this particular chapter. So there are many systems that we are talking about. Now your numerical problems, okay, your numerical problems come from 2 or 3 important systems that we are going to look at. Okay, so the first system that we talk about is your EOQ. Okay, what does that EOQ stand for? economic order quantity. So this is the first system for controlling your raw material. Correct? Now, in order to understand this particular system, we first need to understand what is EOQ. What is the meaning of EOQ? Economic order quantity. As the name suggests, okay, the quantity that you need to order, okay, when you place your order. So the quantity that you need to order when you are placing your order. So now why can't I order whatever I want? So today I feel like ordering 20 units, I'll order 20 units. Tomorrow I'll order 100 units. Day after I'll order 50 units. Then the next day I will order 100 units. Why can't I order whatever I want? Why is it that I need to order as per EOQ? Why? Because there are certain costs which are associated with purchase. Okay. So when you are ordering, there are certain costs associated with that particular order that you have placed. What are those costs? So if you come to the next page, let's write costs associated with purchase. Costs associated with purchase. So apart from the purchase price that you are paying to your supplier, you also have costs which are other costs which are incurred, which are classified into two types. What are they? Buying cost. This is also known as ordering cost and carrying cost. So buying cost, carrying cost. Now the thing is, when we look at buying cost and carrying cost, first of all, what do you mean by that? Buying cost is that cost that you are incurring to place that order. Okay, so all the costs which are incurred, right from dialing the supplier and telling him that I want this particular material at this particular rate in this particular quantity, till the time I receive the material at my factory gate. All the costs which are incurred in process. So you know that there is a purchase procedure, right? There is a purchase procedure. So in brief, if I were to tell you about the purchase procedure, it looks something like this. You have the stores. Stores is the place where material is stored, correct? So obviously the initiation of purchase should happen here, because the storekeeper will know what material is available and what is not. So once the storekeeper figures out, oh, this material is over, what will the storekeeper do? The storekeeper will send a purchase requisition to the purchase department. Okay, that basically the storekeeper is telling the purchase department that, boss, material is over, please order so much quantity needs to be ordered. So now the purchase department will do all its research, figure out who the suppliers are if we are ordering for the first time. Okay, if we've been ordering, then the purchase department will already know who the suppliers are. Okay, so they will do all their analysis, and then finally the purchase department will send, after analysis, a PO. What is PO? Purchase order to the supplier, saying that this material has to be sent by you at this quantity at this rate. Okay, so once the supplier sends the goods, this is our factory gate. Okay, at the factory gate an inspection will happen, okay, to see if the goods which have come are the same goods that I ordered. Correct. So there could be a scenario where at the factory gate itself I reject the goods. So what will happen? The truck who got the goods will take the goods back to the supplier, and then we will correspond with the supplier saying, boss, I ordered pink, you have sent green, send me a new consignment. Simple. So goods are returned. So when it comes to a book entry being made at this stage, is this constituting purchase return? No. Why? Because I have not yet recorded purchases. So when I have not yet recorded purchases in my books, from where will purchase returns come? So here the goods have come to your factory gate, you have rejected it at your factory gate only. Did you pass any entry in your books? No, you have not passed any entry. So when you have not passed a purchase entry, there is no question of a purchase return entry. For a purchase return entry, purchase entry should be there. So from here only goods are returned to the supplier. So physically the goods came, physically the goods returned, transaction complete. No entry in the books. But suppose at this stage, you check, you feel that the goods are okay, then what happens? Then from here, the goods are taken to the store. So once the goods are taken to the store and all the checking is done, there is something called as GRN, okay, which is drawn up by the storekeeper. GRN stands for Goods Received Note. The minute you do a GRN, it means you have acknowledged your liability towards the supplier. So the minute you do a GRN, it means you have purchased. Now, after the GRN is done, if you suddenly realize that these goods were not what I ordered, I should return them to the supplier, then that will constitute a purchase return. Okay, so essentially this is the, bird's eye view of how the purchase procedure looks like. So now from raising the PR to the goods coming into my organization, all the costs which are incurred, okay, they are all my buying costs or ordering costs. Okay, so many costs, salaries of staff, printing and stationery, the transportation of goods from the supplier to the factory gate, all of these are my buying costs, correct? So all buying costs are incurred in this particular part. Yes or no? Now, so one is buying cost, also known as ordering cost. The other one is carrying cost. Now I have received the goods, correct? I have received the goods. I have to carry them, right? I have ordered, my raw material came in. Now that raw material has to be carried in stores. So there are so many costs associated with that. There could be a deterioration, which is again my loss, correct? There could be an obsolescence, which is again my loss, correct? Then there could be the storage space that I'm paying for. Again, that is a cost. Yes or no? I'm blocking my money in these goods. So the interest lost on the money that I've blocked in this is also an opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is an implicit cost, and in costing I take explicit and implicit cost into consideration. Remember, first chapter. So all these are carrying costs. All the costs associated with carrying my inventory. So when I'm talking about ordering in general from the supplier, why can't I order whatever I feel like ordering? Because of these costs. So now what happens? Now let's assume in a year, okay, let's assume in a year, I have 100 units to order in the full year. Okay, remember these costs, the time period will always be 1 year per annum. Okay, so I'm in my example also I'm taking 1 year, which is 100 units. So my consumption of units in the full year is 100 units. Now I decide I'm going to place 10 orders. 10 orders means how many units per order? 10 units. 10 units per order. So every time I place an order, I get 10 units. So like that I will place 100, I will place 10 orders, so I will get 100 units. Yes or no? So I have my buying cost and I have my carrying cost, which I'm going to incur. Okay. Now let's assume instead of ordering 10 units at a given time, I am ordering 20 units at a given time. So if I am ordering 20 units at a given time, what will happen to my number of orders? 5 orders, because now every time I'm ordering 20 units. So like that 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, 100 complete. So how many orders did I place? 5 orders. Now guys, the minute I have reduced my number of orders, what will happen? My ordering cost or my buying cost will decrease. So imagine when I was ordering 10 times, I had to incur this cost 10 times. Now how many times am I incurring it? Just 5 times. So my ordering cost or buying cost is reduced by half. Correct? But what happens to the carrying cost? Now when I'm ordering 10 times, how many units am I ordering at a time? 10 units. So at any given time, any given point in time, I have only maximum of 10 units to carry. But now when I have increased my number of units per order At any given point in time, I have 20 units to carry. So won't my carrying cost be more? So though I have decreased my buying cost, I have increased my carrying cost. Yes or no? So what we see is, as order size increases, buying cost decreases, carrying cost increases. As order size decreases, buying cost increases because I have to order that many more number of orders. Correct? So buying cost will increase, but carrying cost will decrease because order size is decreasing. Now, these two costs are contradictory to each other. You try to decrease the carrying cost, buying cost will increase. You try to decrease the buying cost, carrying cost will increase. Both are moving contradictory to each other. You can see here. So from 10 orders, when I moved to 5 orders, I was successful in decreasing my buying cost, but carrying cost increased off. Now similarly, from 10, if I move to 20 orders, then what will happen? Something else will happen. So it will become contradictory. So in order to keep these costs minimum, okay, so that my buying cost and carrying cost does not increase too much, in order to keep them together and minimum, what do? I will order at EOQ. I will order at EOQ. So EOQ is known as the most economic purchase. The most economic purchase. So exactly how much quantity should be ordered in one order is your EOQ. Is it okay? So you can order whatever you want. Nobody's stopping you. But if you do that, then your ordering cost and your carrying cost will increase. And if your costs are increasing, you're not a good manager. So what do? You order at EOQ. So if you're ordering at EOQ, it will ensure that your buying cost and carrying cost is kept minimum. So at TOQ, buying cost and carrying cost together, when I total it up, total carrying cost, total buying cost for the full year, together, when I add it, it's the least than any other level. Buying cost and carrying cost. For which period? For the full year. For the full year at EOQ will be minimum. So now the question comes, how do we calculate EOQ? So EOQ is calculated using Wilson's formula. Whose formula? Wilson's formula, which is given as root of 2AB by C. Root of 2AB by C. So what is AB and C? A is the annual usage of material. Okay, the annual usage of material. B. So remember guys, many times they will give you per month, per week. What do you have to do to calculate a annual? Convert it to annual. Okay. B. What is B? Buying cost per order. Buying cost per order. So when you are placing one order with the supplier, what would your ordering or buying cost be in relation to that one order? Guys, okay? C. Carrying cost per unit per annum. So the cost of carrying that one unit for the whole year, how much would it be? Okay, so of course there's a derivation for EOQ formula, which I usually do in my regular class, but we don't have the time now. So it's not really important for the exam. From the examination point of view, derivation of EOQ formula is not important. But of course, when we are solving problems, we need to know these formulae properly. Okay, because from this chapter, this is a very, very important part. A lot of questions are being asked from here. Okay, so I know that some of you would want to figure out what the formula is, but at this stage, not possible. Okay, so we will quickly move on. So EOQ is root of 2AB by C. So that is the first thing. Second thing, guys, buying cost and carrying cost together are known as associated costs. Okay, so buying cost plus carrying cost together are known as associated cost, and at EOQ, buying cost is equal to carrying cost. So total buying cost is equal to my total carrying cost at TOQ, and together they are minimum. What do you mean together? That means for the full year, if I take my total buying cost, total carrying cost, add them up, the figure that you get will be the least for any other level. For any other level, you calculate total buying cost, total carrying cost, you will see that that figure will be more than this figure. That is what it means. That's why they are saying that you should buy at TOQ, because it's the most economic purchase, which means your cost will be the least. Guys, is it okay? Now, how do we calculate buying cost? How do we calculate buying cost? Total buying cost. Total buying cost is nothing but buying cost per order into number of orders. Correct? Buying cost per order into number of orders. Guys, buying cost per order was what? B. Correct? In our EOQ formula, buying cost per order. So that is B. Correct? Into number of orders. How do you calculate number of orders? A by EOQ. A by EOQ gives me number of orders. How? 100 units is what I need in the full year. Okay, and when I'm ordering the first time, or whenever I'm placing an order, then in that order I am buying 10 units every time. So how many orders will I place? 10. Because every time I'm buying 10 units. But totally I need 100 units. So how many times will I buy? 10 times. How did you get that? A by EOQ. Because this was EOQ. I was buying 10 units every time I was buying. Yes or no? So when it comes to an EOQ perspective, you will write A by EOQ. But suppose we are not calculating buying cost at EOQ. We are calculating buying cost at some other level. Then you cannot write EOQ here. So then you will write lot size, whatever they have given. A by lot size. Guys, okay. So if you are calculating at EOQ, you write EOQ. If you are not calculating at EOQ, you write whatever level you are calculating at. So I will generally call it lot size. Okay. And similarly, carrying cost. How do you calculate carrying cost? Average inventory into carrying cost per unit per annum. So this is C, correct? Carrying cost per unit per annum. What is average inventory? Half into EOQ. So at TOQ we will use EOQ. If we are not calculating at EOQ, we are using some other level, then we will say lot size. So, or lot size, whatever be the case. Guys, okay. So I'll just give you a hint. At TOQ, we know buying cost is equal to carrying cost. We know the formula for buying cost and carrying cost. So at TOQ, when you equate both the formulae, you will get the EOQ formula. That's the derivation. I'm just saying, in case somebody was interested, for knowledge. Okay. So these are the formulae that we use in EOQ. Very, very important. Okay. So what kind of questions will come? They will say, first they will ask, they will give you all the information. They will ask you to calculate the EOQ. Okay, then they will say calculate the associated cost at EOQ. Then they will say that, you know, the supplier is saying that he will give you a discount of 2%. So, you know, what would your decision be? So now again, you have to calculate when the supplier is giving you a discount of 2%. So if the supplier is giving you a discount, he will put a minimum condition there that you need to buy these many units from me. That means you're not buying at EOQ. So then what will you do? Then you will recalculate all the costs at that particular level. So how will you calculate? Same way. Buying cost, carrying cost. But instead of using EOQ, you will use lot size. Correct? So if I ask you, what is the total cost associated with purchase? What will you say? Ma'am, first purchase price. I have to pay the supplier also, no? So purchase price, then buying cost, then carrying cost. Correct? So total cost associated with purchase. What? Purchase price plus buying cost plus carrying cost. Guys, and when we are calculating this has to be per annum. It has to be per annum because buying cost and carrying cost is calculated per annum. Yes or no? See here, buying cost B into A by EOQ. Automatically A has come in the whole year. What was your requirement? Only then you got the number of orders in the whole year. So buying cost is for the full year. Carrying cost also for the full year. Why? Because C is carrying cost per unit per annum. So into number of units. So carrying cost also you will get for the full year. So when we are calculating associated costs or when we are calculating the total cost associated with purchase, it has to be calculated for the full year as a whole. So purchase price also has to be for the full year. So how will you calculate? A into unit cost. A is what? Requirement of units in the full year. Guys, okay? Everyone. Now sometimes when it comes to carrying cost, this C, that is carrying cost per unit per annum, they don't give directly in the problem. If they have given it to you directly, no problem. Okay, sometimes what they say is they give it to you directly. They may say 0.5 rupees per unit per month. But we need per annum, no? So what will you do? Multiply it with 12. Here they have given it directly. Sometimes they don't give it directly. They give it in the form of percentage. They say that carrying cost per unit per annum, or they say carrying cost is say 15% of average inventory. That is what they say. So on what do you calculate 15%? On the unit cost. On the unit cost. Average inventory is nothing but per unit. So whatever be the unit cost, say 10 rupees into 15%, since it's percent, it's for the full year, we directly get carrying cost per unit per annum. Guys, okay? Certain important points. Yes? Everybody? Okay. Yeah. Now there are some 1 or 2 more points which we need to discuss, but we will discuss that when the problem comes. Okay, when we start the problem. So what we're going to do now is, we finished EOQ. Now we will also see stock levels. Okay, so we will do both, then we will solve problems. And then we will move on to the next part. So as and when we keep finishing a given concept, we will do the problem on that particular concept. So still there are 2-3 important points left in EOQ, but we will discuss that only when we solve the problem. So as and when we are solving the problems, we will discuss it. But EOQ and stock levels go hand in hand. So now we will move on to the next system of inventory control, which is stock levels. Okay, so let's move on to stock levels. So guys, various organizations use this system to again exercise control over stock. So for each material which is stored in the stores, stock levels are created. Okay, so what are these stock levels? Stock levels can be divided into the following types. First, reorder level. This is not stock level. Maximum level, minimum level, average stock level, danger level, and buffer stock. Okay, so first let's quickly understand what they mean. Okay, reorder level. reorder level is the level at which a new order is placed. So the minute your inventory levels falls to reorder level, now you should call up your supplier and tell him that send this particular material in this particular quantity. So if you are using the EOQ system along with stock levels, you will order the EOQ quantity. So stock level, reorder stock level tells us when to order, right? And reorder quantity tells us how much to order. That is the difference between reorder level and EOQ. Guys, okay? So reorder level, as the name suggests, reorder. So the minute my inventory level falls to reorder level, it is now time for me to place my fresh order. And what comes in that fresh order is my reorder quantity or economic order quantity. Guys, okay? Everybody? So how do you calculate reorder level? Before we go to the calculation part, we need to remember that when we are fixing up the levels, the various stock levels, these stock levels are fixed on the basis of two criteria. Okay, first criteria is usage. Okay, and the second criteria is lead time. So what do you mean by usage? The consumption of raw material. So usage or consumption of raw material is classified into three types: minimum, maximum, average. So if average is not given, you can easily calculate. How will you calculate? Minimum plus maximum by 2 will give you the average. If it is not given, if it is given, please use it. Sometimes in the problem, you will see they have given you minimum, they have given you maximum. The average consumption is given, but it is not the same as what you would get if you would mathematically divide minimum plus maximum by 2. So what do? Keep quiet and use what they have given. Okay, when we say average, we cannot mathematically use the average only always. It could be here and there a bit. It's okay. Approximately. So please use what they have given. If they have not given you, please compute it. Is it okay? So don't get confused. Don't be like, oh, the answer was supposed to be 5, but now they have given 6. So should I take 5? Should I take 6? What will you take? Take 6. Because they have given you 6. Okay. Similarly, lead time. What is the lead time? Guys, lead time is the time lag or the time gap between placing the order and getting the materials. Now, if I'm placing the order today, right now I won't get the materials. No, there are so many things. I'll place the order. I will talk to the supplier, tell him all of these things is what I require in the stores. Then the supplier will get all the material ready. Then the supplier will send the material to my factory. So the transportation time. Then at the factory, gate pass inspection will happen. Then I will check if everything is okay. Then those materials will be transferred to the store. So many things are happening. So the time gap between placing an order and receiving the material in your stores is your lead time. Okay. So now lead time can also be divided into three types. What? Maximum, minimum, average. What could the maximum time be? What is the minimum time which I will take? And what is the average time? Guys, okay. So it's like me saying, minimum I would need 5 days to finish your crash course. Minimum. It cannot be less than 5 days. But maximum could be 7 days. Maximum. I don't think it will go beyond 7 days. But minimum to I need 5 days. Average will be what? Whatever. 7 plus 5 divided by 2. Which is 6. So same here. Lead time. So now considering these parameters, usage and lead time, these formulae have been constructed for calculating various stock levels. So reorder level, where you are placing the new order. What you are placing in that order is your EOQ or ROQ. So EOQ is economic order quantity, ROQ is reorder quantity. Are they the same? No. EOQ is what you have placed as per Wilson's formula. ROQ is whatever you are placing. Not as per Wilson's formula because of whatever difference. It's not necessary that you will always place as per Wilson's formula, right? There could be so many things that may change in the practical scenario. It is not probably possible to order as per Wilson's formula. Now Wilson's formula says 3000 should be ordered every time. But what if your supplier says, no, I cannot sell 3000 at one time, it's too less for me. If you are buying from me, you have to buy 5000 only. And you don't have a choice. You have to place an order for 5000 units. Correct? Or what if your product is a seasonal product? If it's a seasonal product, all your production will happen only in a certain period of time. So you have to produce everything in that time only. So you cannot really order at EOQ, not possible. So sometimes it is not possible to order at EOQ. Or the supplier says you order more, I'll give you more discount. And that reduces your cost actually. So then you will not order at EOQ. Correct? So if we are not ordering at EOQ, it becomes ROQ. Reorder quantity, lot size, any other lot size. Okay, so when we are ordering, when we are placing a fresh order, that is reorder level. What we are ordering is my EOQ or ROQ. So how do we calculate reorder level? Reorder level formula is maximum usage into maximum lead time. Okay, now as of now, we do not have the time to challenge these formulae. Again, I do this in my regular class. How to derive these formulae. Why is it maximum into maximum? Now we cannot do it. Okay, so right, it's anyway not important from the examination point of view, but it will help you in understanding better. So right now we will only look at the formulae. Reorder level is maximum lead time into maximum usage. Okay. One more formula for reorder level is there. I will tell you later. Okay. Next. Maximum stock level. Guys, what is maximum stock level? This is the maximum level of inventory that you can hold at any given point in time. If you try to hold more than this, what will happen? You're going to unnecessarily block your funds in inventory. No point. You're going to lose out on interest, bad management. And you're subjecting your inventory to a huge risk. Risk of obsolescence, spoilage, deterioration, whatever be the case. So this is the maximum that you can hold. Don't go beyond this. Okay. So that's why the level is fixed. So how do you calculate maximum level? See here, reorder level plus reorder quantity. If you are ordering at EOQ, then it will be economic order quantity. If you are not ordering at EOQ, it will be reorder quantity minus minimum usage into minimum lead time. Guys, usage and lead time will go hand in hand. If you are using minimum usage, lead time also has to be minimum. You cannot have minimum usage and average lead time. So it always goes hand in hand. Maximum will go with maximum, minimum will go with minimum, average will go with average. Is it okay? So that is your formula for maximum level. I will tell you one way to remember these formulae once we see all the formulae in place. Okay. Next, minimum stock level. Now minimum stock level is the level below which your inventory should not fall. Whatever it is at any given point in time in your organization, this much inventory should be there in your stores. Because if it falls below this, there is a chance your production schedule can get hampered, which is very dangerous because then you will not produce as per your schedule. So this is the minimum level of inventory that you must maintain at any given point in time. So how do you calculate this? Minimum level is given as reorder level minus average usage into average lead time. Okay. So now I will just tell you how to remember these formulae. Okay. First formula that you need to remember, reorder level. Reorder is maximum into maximum. Remember that. Now, if you have used either of the three once, then you cannot use it again. Now, for reorder level, I have used maximum into maximum, which means maximum into maximum cannot be used again. Over. Okay. And maximum into maximum cannot be used in maximum level formula. Similarly, minimum into minimum cannot be used with minimum level formula. So those are the two things that you need to keep in mind. So reorder level is maximum into maximum. Already used it. Now let's see minimum level. Minimum level is reorder level because it is minimum level less. We are minusing it. So reorder level minus what? Minimum, what is left now? Minimum into minimum, average into average. Now minimum into minimum I cannot use here. So what will I use? Average into average. Okay, so I've used average into average. And finally, maximum level. Maximum level is highest. So reorder level plus something to make it higher. So plus ROQ minus. Now I have used maximum into maximum. I have used average into average. What is left? Minimum into minimum. So I'm going to use minimum into minimum. Okay, so that is how you try to remember these formulae. Okay, but if you know the derivation, then you don't need to remember the formulae. Okay, next, average level. Average level is nothing but the average between the maximum and the minimum level. So how do you calculate? Mathematically, maximum level plus minimum level by 2, or one more formula is there, minimum level plus half EOQ. If we are not ordering at EOQ, we are ordering at ROQ, then it will become half ROQ. Guys, is it okay? You can use either of the two formulae. Both formulae will give you a different answer. It's absolutely all right. Is it okay? Everybody? Okay. Now, some organizations fix a danger level also. Okay, and usually this danger level may be fixed below minimum level. So minimum level shows my inventory should not fall. But suppose it falls, and if it touches the danger level. Now danger level, as the name suggests, danger, correct? Now my inventory has fallen to a level where I cannot order the normal way. I cannot place my purchase order, then wait for the goods to arrive and then do a gate pass inspection. No. If my inventory falls to the danger level, I have to take emergency purchase action. Okay, so it's like saying, suppose in your kitchen, like your mom, she cooks food, right? So suppose there's a system in place. Every time, say, the flour gets over or the rice gets over, she informs you, and then you inform your dad, and then your dad goes to the market whenever he's free and he brings it. Correct? So this is the normal system. Okay, but now everyone is sitting at the table and your mother realizes that, okay, there is no flour to make chapati, or there is no rice to give with sambar. Correct? So now what can you do? Now can she tell you, and then you tell your dad, and then your dad take his own sweet time to go to the market and come back? No, not possible. So now she has to take immediate purchase action. She does not inform either of you. She immediately takes her bags and runs to the grocery store. Correct? So this is immediate purchase action. I am doing something that I'm not used to doing. So if my inventory falls to the danger level, the organization cannot follow the normal purchase procedure. The organization takes immediate purchase action, because if this is not taken, then you will not have the inventory to, raw material inventory to continue with your production process. It will completely hamper your operations. So danger level formula is average usage into lead time for emergency purchases. This is a new lead time. This is not your minimum lead time, not your maximum lead time, not your average lead time. This is a new lead time which is put in place for emergency purchase action. Guys, is it okay? And yeah, average usage formula is given. Average usage is nothing but minimum plus maximum by 2. So leave this. This we already know. And average lead time also, maximum lead time plus minimum lead time by 2. This also we already know. So these are the formulae. But there was one formula which we still had to do for reorder level. What is that formula? So guys, there is something called as buffer stock. So you see here, I've given it here also. Buffer stock. Buffer stock is also called as safety stock. Okay, so sometimes what happens, when the material comes in, the store's keeper, okay, he may take one entire consignment of material and hide it off. Okay, tomorrow, in case something happens, I have something on hand. It's hidden. Nobody knows about it except for me. That is called as safety stock or buffer stock. So why is this? To mitigate sudden demand. To mitigate sudden demand. So suppose the organization uses this particular policy of safety stock, okay, then what happens to your reorder level? Then your reorder level will not be maximum into maximum. Then your reorder level becomes, yes, so if they've given us safety stock or buffer stock, then what will happen to my reorder level? My reorder level will no longer be maximum into maximum. What will it be? It will be safety stock plus lead time consumption. Plus lead time consumption. What is lead time consumption? What you are consuming in that lead time which is given to you. So once reorder level changes, automatically maximum and minimum stock level will also change. Yes or no? Because maximum and minimum stock level both use reorder level. So you don't have to adjust this there. It automatically changes. So if safety stock is given, you only need to change reorder level. The other levels will automatically adjust. Guys, correct? So if safety stock or buffer stock is given, then reorder level will be safety stock plus lead time consumption.